Hey, everybody. Thanks for coming to the part two of a three-part series of mortgage note investing with Next Level Strategies with Cindy Hewitt and I. Cindy is the tech person that tells me what to do. So this is the clicker, right? And it works. It's connected. Okay. Here she is. Okay. So we have to tell you that Brenda and Cindy do not provide investment advice or endorse any products. We are educators and are not making investment recommendations. All information and materials are for educational purposes only, and all parties are encouraged to consult with their attorneys, accountants, and financial advisors before entering into any type of investment.
I get to do you.
You get to say, be nice.
So Brenda and I started collaborating in July of last year and decided to start doing this education series together. And Brenda is a retired educator. She's currently working as a mortgage loan originator. She has 15 doors. 14 are not burnt down. One is burned a couple weeks ago. And she is an expert in mortgage notes. She attended mortgage note school with Eddie Spees. She spent quite a bit of time learning in note school, and it's not a cheap education. She probably spent more on note school than I spent on undergrad and graduate degrees from public university. She currently works as a liaison for Note School with Eddie Spees, and she helps introduce people and bring them into the program and help them know, just kind of get them on a good path for their mortgage note investing strategies. And when she does have free time, she likes to travel and hike and spend time with her kids. She's going to have the whole show tonight because she's the expert in mortgage note investing. I'm just here to bring the laptop. That's my function tonight.
And she made amazing taco soup. Yeah. So I don't know how I got so lucky to have a partner in Cindy, and I really mean that. She's amazing. She's got all this background in banking. How many years, Cindy, did you? 15 in commercial lending. Yeah. Commercial lending and banking side, and is a former public accountant. So I would say she's kind of an expert in accounting and banking. So this is my partner. I'm so grateful to have her. She has expertise in structuring and approving real estate deals and the underwriting. So that's definitely Cindy's lane. Believe me, I've been in conversations with her, and she's very thorough going over the deals. She focuses on balancing risk while meeting the customer's needs and getting the deals funded, but she does it in a way that is not risky or as little risk as possible. She's pursuing campground and tiny home community development, if you got any leads on that. And she has some doors, too. Some short-term rentals, some mid-term rentals. And passionate about unique, affordable living spaces. Very creative in that space. So, and there's no such thing as a safe investment. So keep that in mind. So questions before we begin. We'll go around the room and ask you guys, what are your current investments, if you have any? If you don't have any, like, what are you thinking about? Like, what do you want to invest in? And how long have you had this investment? And what is your current return, if you know it, that you're receiving on your investment? So do you want to start, Christy?
Sure. I'm Christy, short-term and long-term rentals right now. We bought our first long-term rental in March of 2020, the week COVID hit. So, I don't know.
You didn't see that coming, did you?
No. We bought it and I had 2 weeks off.
Yeah, you got them dip on you.
So, yeah, we got it renovated in 2 weeks.
Nice. What kind of return do you think you get on that one? With all the CapEx expenses added in? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You got an infinite return? Mm-hmm. Good for you. Charles?
I've got a fourplex in Oak Ridge, a single-family house, and then I'm working on a small campground with 7 acres out in Morgan County.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Will you set up the tent and have it all glamped out for me when I?
yeah.
Yeah.
Do that for you.
Okay. And what?
I'm Gita Penton.
Tina.
I wasn't prepared for this. So. We've got personal house on 4 acres that we're about to sell because we've got a contract on 10 acres property. And then we have 2 houses that are adjacent to that on 4 acres that we rent mom home. And I don't like what we did is we lived in one of those and moved out of it, bought a different property and rented it. And then we had built another house on that property. So those 2 houses are rented.
House hacked it. House hacky.
House, yep. And then we own a house we just built that we just rented out. It's long term.
Good.
Next, we have 3 more lots on that property, and we're building those 3 more houses, all for rentals. Nice. And then we have an older house that was on the property when we bought it,
Okay.
and we are renting it long term.
Very good.
It's long term right now.
I like your strategy long term.
Hey, I'm Austin Penton. I'm obviously her son, so I am a little bit younger, so just starting out an investment journey. So we'll be looking into some things in the future. I tend to shy away from long term. Just seems like more headache than what it's worth, and not a quick return as I would like. It's more of a long term strategy. So, and where I'm at now in life, I'd rather be in towards a short term.
Interesting that you two different generations have different angle on that.
Well, she's done some of the short term flips.
Yeah.
To get to where she's going to her flips.
That'll
To get some of that to get to the longer term.
That's part of the note investing journey is talking about where you are in life and what you want to do. Denise?
My longest investment is my brain education.
Yes, girl. Yes. And nobody can take that away from you.
From me, but hoping to get my first house eventually. But I think all I can do right now is hustle,
There you go.
support my peers,
There you go.
my adopted parents, and that's it. That's it. Everybody around me, so I'm just here learning and being a sponge. That's really
Yeah, I can't wait to see where you're headed.
taking everything.
Go ahead.
Hi, my name is David Murphy. A shout out to my wife. She's probably watching a live stream. Kate, we're just together into this world of investing, and so we're looking at house hacking, buying a multifamily unit, maybe 15, 30, unit complex, and hopefully we value add with that and work our way through that. So.
Okay, nice. Arlen?
My name is Arlen. I don't have any houses yet, but I have gotten some private money lending. Then I just got my real estate license.
Yay. And Arlen, tell us where do you lend your money out of? What vehicle? What avenue? Like you?
It's for a flip. It's like 12% interest on the
Okay.
return.
Do you use your self-directed IRA?
I did use my self-directed IRA from Walgreens. Thank you very much.
Yes. So Arlen she's a great example of somebody that was in the corporate world, left that space and rolled over to self-directed, started money lending. And what kind of return did you say you're getting?
12%.
Yeah.
3 points down, 12%. That's 6 months.
Yeah, that sounds like 15%. Yep.
My name is Marquez. I also bought during COVID, not even a mile from running here, was a basement, and I rented into the basement. I lived upstairs with my family. I have a buddy, his brother-in-law, rents out the basement, covers my mortgage. I make about $300 a month off that. So I'm looking to house hack, try to get into a bigger house and rent out the upstairs during the next 6 to 7 months.
Yeah.
I want to be that guy. Crypto's been my... That's okay. I got in super early, so...
Yeah.
You borrow against that?
You can borrow against that. You don't have to cash it in.
Yeah.
I have a loan for that. And Cindy, can he invest in the self-directed IRA, crypto?
Yeah, you can buy crypto in your self-directed IRA.
Oh, really?
You get this. I don't know if you have one from a previous employer, but anyone can establish a Roth IRA or a regular IRA, and you put it in a custodian that allows you to invest in crypto. So, say for example, you put $10,000 in a Roth IRA and you bought $10,000 in crypto. In 30 years from now, or whenever when you retire, when the crypto's worth
$300,000, you're not paying any tax on the gain.
That's smart. I wish I would have admitted that before I liquidated my 401ks and just bought it outright.
Yeah, you could have rolled it over. Well, can't look back. Can't look back. Knowledge is power and moving forward. Yeah. Josh?
I actually bought my first rental, cashed out 401k. I see. I've got the long-term rentals, slip houses, but I want to get into lending money. But last year I still borrowed money from private bank, and I was like,
Be the bank, baby. Yeah. We're going to be teaching that in Johnson City, all about being the bank. What day is that? March 6th?
Next week,
I think it's the 6th. I think on the 5th, I'll be here with Bar Tarlay from Nexa teaching commercial lending. So if you have any realtor friends that are interested in commercial and want to come learn about the lending space in commercial lending, we'll have that. And then on the 6th, we're going to Johnson City, and that topic is Be the Bank. We're going to cover note investing, private money lending, and a little bit of infinite banking. 3 avenues to be the bank. So if you can be the bank, yeah.
You said on
The 5th here for commercial lending, 6 o'clock. The 6th in Johnson City with their real estate investor group.
yes, I don't know the name of it.
Yeah.
Will it be live?
Mhm.
Yes.
We'll be there live. Yeah.
I mean,
So-
can you watch it live?
Will we stream it?
Stream.
I will, if Orlando's on board, we'll live stream on the 5th. He looks at Denise like, am I doing that? Yes. She said you were. And then on the 6th, I don't know. They're live stream. Yes. I'll put it on my Facebook too. You can find it. Yeah. So what is note investing? What is a note? I'm going to go through this pretty quick because last week we went over this. So I'm going to speed through this. So if I go too fast, you can ask questions at the end. And then when I get to the part we didn't cover last week, we'll slow down a little because this is a part 2 of 3. So what is a note? It can be, the $100 bill. It could be the check that you wrote. It could be the mortgage agreement that you signed when all those papers were flying at you when you first did your closing that you never closed before, and you go to the closing company and they slide all these papers in front of you. You signed a mortgage note. You might not have realized it at the time in the flurry of what you were doing, but that's a note. So mortgage note and buyer. So if there's a note or a mortgage note and you sign it, there's going to be terms of agreement. There's going to be a principal amount, an interest rate, a monthly payment, an amortization term. Do you know what that means, amortization? I taught 5th grade for years, so I'm going to ask y'all questions. Anybody know amortization? No?
The whole show around what you pay and
It's the chart of what you pay. It breaks down the principal and interest payments that you pay. I'm going to show you one here in a little bit. And that's going to be there, and then you're going to sign it, your signature. And when you sign it, you've committed, you're going to pay that with a personal guarantee, most likely. So as a mortgage note, the seller can have the deed to the house, okay? So let's say a seller has a deed to the house, and they want to sell this house. The buyer gets a mortgage note and signs the note. Look, she's wiping her brow. That's I'm signing this note. And then the seller gives the deed to who? Who said the buyer? That's right. I've got some gold stars later. The buyer gets the deed, and the bank has a lien on it, okay? But this is not right. The buyer doesn't become the bank. The seller becomes the bank. This is a mistake in the spreadsheet.
yeah, you got the spreadsheet.
I know. And I went over that today. I looked at that. Yes.
I got that right. But 5 years ago, I seller financed the half of Garoppolo, and I never transferred.
That's
Now
Oh, wow. Okay. Did you sell it on a land contract or a mortgage and note? Then you should have transferred the deed then. But, and that's good that you brought that up. He said he owner financed the property. So when you owner finance the property, you don't hold the deed anymore. unless you do a land contract. That's another conversation for another day. You don't own the deed anymore, but you become the bank. So did you get payments over a series of time? So do you remember how much the payments were and your interest rate?
Yeah, 10%. Just payment through about
Oh, we're going to talk about that in a little bit. We'll bring that back up. His payment was about what the rent would have been on the house.
It's 500 miles away, and I didn't want
Yeah.
selling it to him.
Okay. We're going to come back to that example. Don't leave. So if you invest in the stock market, it might look like this, right? A wild ride, up and down and around we go. And some people, you want to do that. That's fine. You want to split the baby and do part of your investing in the stock market and part of it in something steadier. That's fine. But mortgage note investing is not this exciting. It's boring, really. That's why I think it doesn't get a lot of good press. It's just not very exciting. It's like watching paint dry. It's just is what it is. The payments come in and none of this. This doesn't really happen. So maybe over the last 20 years, you felt like you've been on a roller coaster, especially if you've been through 08 and then 2020. And we'll go through that really quick because you know what I'm talking about. So these slides we talked about last week just show that there is a lot of seller financing going on. You don't realize it. It's not talked about because it's not sexy, I guess, on Instagram or whatever, but it's happening all over the place. Seller carry volume, residential in 2022, almost 12 million. And this is coming from Advanced Seller Data Services on noteinvestor.com. So if you're kind of nerdy about stuff like that, that's a great website for you, noteinvestor.com. Check it out. And it looks like residential is the largest seller carry, but commercial is coming in fast behind them. So it's mortgage note investing is pretty steady and consistent. So let's say you have $25,000 at 10% interest for 20 years. There's your payment, and it's just going to keep coming in kind of slow and steady. But guess what you're doing while that payment's coming in? And whatever you want. Are you on vacation with family, or you just hanging out, reading a book, relaxing on the spot? I don't know. Do what you want. You just get the payment. If those of you that own the doors, where you say you own so many doors in the house, is it passive to own property? Do what? I don't know. You tell me. Not as passive as this, and it depends on what kind of property you have and what you're doing with it, right? Short term is more labor intense. Yeah, it's more active. Long term, more passive. But is any of it really passive? Even if you have a property manager, guess what? You're managing the manager. There are some fantastic property managers out there. So I know some. I could refer you some. But then there are some that are not so fantastic, and you could end up managing the manager. But with the note vesting, you get paid once a month. That includes your principal and interest. So don't discount the fact that you're getting your principal back a little bit at a time each time you get paid. So that means you're reducing the risk that you outlaid at the beginning every month because your principal comes back to you slowly every month, which reduces your risk and your investment to value. And your return is fixed. You don't have to watch it like the stock market. It's not going to go up and down and around. It is what it is when you set it. There are 6 characteristics of a note. There's the borrower. So you want to make sure you've got a good borrower. And we can talk about that, how you determine if your borrower is an acceptable borrower. That's what I do all day, every day as a mortgage loan originator. There's the collateral that looks at the value of the property. The down payment, you heard that phrase, what's their skin in the game? And the terms of the note that we talked about at the beginning, which is the interest and the number of payments. The seasoning of a note, do you know what that might mean?
How long you can hold it until you can refi or get out of it or pay it back.
Seasoning is how long have they been paying? Let me ask you a question, Christy. If you are going to buy a note from Eddie Speed and that person has been paying on that note for 15 years, your borrower's been paying for 15 years, I think I lost my mic. If they've been paying for 15 years, do you think they're likely to pay for 16 years?
Yeah.
They'll probably keep paying. So that's important, the seasoning of a note. If it's a brand new note, you might discount it a little bit more because your borrower doesn't have the propensity to pay yet, and people are creatures of habit. And then there's the paperwork, and you want to make sure you do that right. Mm-hmm. Yes, you can buy notes.
So the longer the term it's gone, the longer the seasoning per se, the more valuable the note.
It's a factor. It's a factor in the note because people are creatures of habit, and if they've built equity in that home over 15 years, they're likely to keep paying. They're not likely to default. What? This button? Thank you, BJ. Thank you. Okay. So here we go. You got your credit score. We're looking at your borrower. Any questions about these things, the 6 characteristics of a note? If you're going to sell a house on owner finance, talk to me about that before you sell your house on owner finance. Let's go over this because you want to create the strongest note that you can. You want to do it right in the event that you ever sell it, because when you owner finance your property, the note becomes your asset instead of the property is your asset. So you want it to be as healthy and strong as it can be. So you don't, when you go to sell it, and you can sell notes to Eddie Speak. When you go to sell it, or you could sell them to Cindy and her IRA. You know, when you sell your note, if you want it to be worth as much money as possible. Well, that means you need to bake that pie correctly when you're creating it, because you can't really go back and fix it once you've done it. So do it right.
On the inverse, if you're the buyer, you put in a clause that they can't sell it without giving you first right of refusal on it. So that's what we did on ours. So they weren't allowed to sell the note unless we get first right of refusal on that.
That is so smart. Who taught you to do that?
Somebody might have given you an idea on that.
I love that. So you did an owner finance.
Owner finance, we're the buyers. Put a first right of refusal on the sale of a note. If they ever sell it, they have to give us it.
You have to buy your note. That means he can buy his own debt back at a discount. That's next level strategy there. Yes.
Why you that? Because the terms aren't going to change. Like, if he's got a note, if
you have his note, he will refuse selling it.
He can't refuse that I sell it. I just have to offer to sell it to him first. So then he can buy his own note back. Notes are sold at a discount. So if I own the note, I'm going to sell it at a discount. So if he's buying his own note at a discount, he's essentially bought the house at a discount.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah. So I always put that in there when you do your owner financing. Have any of you ever bought property on owner finance?
Yeah.
1, me, 2. If you always present owner financing to your sellers, if you want to call me, we'll talk about that. But give them that option. They may go for it. It may be the best option for them in some cases. But when you do owner finance, buy on owner financing, put first right of refusal to buy the note. Call Charles. He'll tell you what to do. Okay, an RMLO is a registered mortgage loan originator. So you want this person in play to look at your borrower. Remember when we talked about the 6 characteristics of a note? What was one of the main things on that slide, the 6 characteristics? What were some of the things on the 6 characteristics of a note? Do you remember? Borrower. That's it, the borrower. So you want to look at that borrower closely. Yeah. And there are federal laws that you have to follow, that you should follow. I don't know. I like to follow federal laws. That seems like a good idea. I know some of us in here get a little crazy, but not naming names. But I'm going to follow what I'm supposed to do. There's this little thing called Dodd-Frank, and you have to do what that federal law says. So an RMLO will make sure you do that. So whatever money it costs, I would pay for it. And plus, it removes you from the situation and gathering of the documents and talking to the person that's you're selling your property to create the note. It just puts somebody else in between you, and then you can decide if you're going to owner finance to them or not. Any questions about the RMLO? I'm not sure. There's a website called theunderwriter.com. Look it up there and ask them. I would refer to them. Call theunderwriter.com. And you can have your borrower pay for it. You don't have to pay for it. Registered mortgage loan residential mortgage loan originator. This business is like death by acronyms. I think it's residential.
Did they like the note? Do they also do all of those?
You're the investor. You make the decision if you're going to do this or not. But they make sure that the borrower has the ability to repay. That's in Dodd-Frank. They have to have the ability to repay. So it's not like predatory lending is the idea of it. But you want to do this to make sure you've got a solid borrower. And if you have the paperwork signed off on this borrower with an RMLO, then that makes your note worth a little bit more money too. Like if I'm buying your note and you've done that, I'm like, okay, that's nice. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So where does one start? It's important that you know who we are, like what we're investing in, and trust who you're dealing with, and get educated in mortgage note investing. So there's a lot of mom and pops that create notes and they don't know what they're doing, and it costs them money. It just costs them dearly sometimes. So know what's going on. Get educated. Now let's talk about partials. This is new. This is new. We didn't talk about this last week, so I was saving it for you guys. So if you create a note, you have the whole note. Okay. You can sell a part of it. If you own the note, it's your asset. You no longer own the house. You sold the house, remember? And the deed went to the borrower, but you have the lien on the house. So you don't own the house, you own the note. And I think that's the hardest thing for regular investors to wrap their head around, that you don't own the house anymore. You own the note. So when you have the note, you can sell a part of it. You don't have to sell the whole note. Why would you ever want to sell a part of a note? You want to recapitalize your business? Maybe you see an investment that you want to make and you want that money back. Maybe there's a life event that happens, and you need to fund it. Maybe you got 2 kids and they're both getting married this year. I don't know. Maybe you want to go to Costa Rica and live for a month in the hacienda. I don't know. You've got a capital event that you want to fund. You can sell a part of it without selling all of it. So that's nice, flexible thing that you can do. If you want a house, a rental, can you sell part of the rental? No. You can sell the whole rental. But when you're on the note, you can sell a part of it. So you can sell the front part of the note to another investor. So if Charles created a note because he sold the house on owner finance, and then he wanted to recapitalize his business because he's a realtor and he wants to do some serious advertising, maybe, I don't know. So he can call Cindy and say, Cindy, do you have some dry powder in your self-directed IRA? I'd like to sell you part of my note. Cindy would be like, yeah, I want to buy the front end of your note. And Cindy may buy the front part of the payments, let's say for $20,000, $20,000. And she's got a really nice deal.
When you say running, you mean the first?
The first payments.
You're hitting a turn, the first turn.
The income stream. So when you create a note, these are good questions. Thank you for asking them. When you create a note, you've created an income stream. You get a payment this month, next month, on it goes. Boring, very boring. But you're going to get those consistent payments over time. When you sell a partial, you're going to sell the front end of the note, the first part of the payments. So Cindy may buy 10 years of payments from Charles. So for 10 years, those payments out of that note goes into Cindy's self-directed IRA. And he doesn't get a payment. But if he created the note for 30 years, after 10 years, the payments come back to him. So
The idea is she would buy it at a discount. So she's making
okay, so there's spreadsheet for that. Cindy could say, I don't know, what kind of return would you like in your self-directed IRA? Oh my gosh, it's just tough. I would maybe talk to Josh. I don't know if I would sell it, Cindy, but drunk on yield, they say. So Cindy will insist on a certain amount of payments that equals her 15%. But Charles may be like, and it's back to duking it out. He may come back to her and say, I'm not giving you 15%, but would you go for 10? She would say no. And they would walk away, and then they would think about it, and then they would come back, and then he would say, well, would you do 12? She'd be like, okay. And then she'd tell him, I would have done 9, after it was done. But that's Cindy. Anyway, so he just sold the first part of his note and got some money to put in his pocket to cover his expenses of whatever he needed it for. And then he'll get his income stream at that after she's been paid her payments. Who wins in that scenario? Everybody. Everybody's winning. And Cindy is doing good because she's bought the front end of that note, so she's got a really strong investment to value. So that house is worth a whole lot more than what she's got in it. So her money is protected.
So you probably have an incentivized buyer for these in every situation, right? If you got the actual buyer of the house or the property. So could you not offer them a section of it for more money? Like say that you want to
Offer who?
The actual buyer of it.
Buyer of the house?
Sell or finance it to the owner, the new owner. They're incentivized to pay it off quicker. If you want a chunk of money, you can get probably a better rate than you sell it to her or anybody in here.
So you're asking me if the owner of the house can buy that front end of the note?
Could you not just sell it to them?
I mean, I guess you could. That would be an investment for them.
Right. And then
Just an investment for them.
better for you, you get more money than you would sell it at 15%. You make it beneficial to you.
They still have to agree on a rate of return that they're willing to do.
It would be like kind of making a chunk payment. Or is that
No,
because they're still not paying the interest?
they're still going to have to make that payment. The buyer in that scenario still has to make the payment, regardless. Are we up and running again?
Yeah, give me home.
Okay.
You good?
That's okay.
No, you good.
Berlin knows he's an expert to have around. Thank you. So in this example, there's 271 payments. Charles sells this partial of $104,900. So for 143 months, Cindy gets a payment of $1,081 in her self-directed IRA. And then after 143 months, at month 144, Charles gets the rest of the payments. He gets the back end of the note. It returns to him. Any questions about that? Yep, Josh.
Charles owes the note to say he's getting 10%. That's his return. And then Cindy wants to buy part of the note or even the whole note, but she wants 15%.
She will buy the...
Then do that, and then he just take the loss?
He's not really taking a loss. He is not taking a loss, but he has to give her enough payments to equal the 15% yield she has to have. She's insisting on. So he gives her more payments.
How much is she paying for this?
Well, that's $100. In this example, it's $104,900.
That's what she paid for. That's what her return.
That's what she paid for it. So who has a calculator on their phone?
She gave it back to him.
Take your calculator and let's do some math. So $1,081 times 143 months.
$155,000.
So she gets back $155,000.
On 149.
Mm-hmm. So what's that return?
No, it's about 104. What did Anderson?
What's the return?
I just the wrong thing.
You're nervous. What's the return?
I think we got 14.7.
What'd you get?
I don't know what to do.
Oh, okay. So, do you remember how much money you get into your account?
No, that's not right. It's more than that.
Okay, take $1,081 times 143 months. That's how much money goes back into yours.
54,580.
Okay. And you paid $104,900, right?
Yeah.
So wouldn't it be 104,900 divided by how much you got back, or would it be the other way around, Christy?
I think it's subtracted. It'd be 154 minus the 104, whatever that is, and then 500. That's the original.
That's how much she makes.
No.
How do we calculate the yield? I'm going to show you in a minute how we could calculate this. I'm going to bring up a 10BII calculator.
I need the formula for this.
I'm going to show you. It's coming. This is an introduction to note investing. If you guys want to scan that and like bookmark it for later, I'm not going to do it right now, show them right now, but they're little cartoons that tell you about note investing. So it'll explain it to you pretty basic, the whole thing. There's one in there too on partials. Yeah.
It didn't work last time.
It's okay. We'll leave it there a second.
When notes are sold, is it usually the whole thing or usually the partial? Is one more common than the other?
Depends on what you want to do. It just depends on what your investment strategy is. For example, if you are holding long-term in a IRA, you might buy a longer, drawn-out note. You know, if you want to invest for cash flow and you want a hefty payment coming back to you, you might buy a partial. It depends on what your investment strategy is. If you want a partial or a whole note. We done with that? So this is what I wanted to talk to you about tonight, and I'm glad we're here now. And Josh, let's bring your example up about where you owner finance the house, because you brought the point up already that you were getting more of a mortgage payment than you would have gotten in rent. It was about the same, but did you have any capital expenses? Did anybody call you to replace the HVAC during that time? No? Did they call you to...
Actually, they need to replace the HVAC, but I'm still the owner because I'm in the transfer fee. So now we need to transfer fee so they can pay for the HVAC.
Oh, yeah, you gotta give them the deed. Yeah.
Maybe they wouldn't want to pay a lawyer to review deeds.
Okay.
No, anything I could call.
Yeah. Okay.
I do know.
That's interesting. That's interesting. We'll talk about that later. But you can avoid tenants and toilets with note investing, and you can pay a service provider to collect the monthly payments, like $35 to $50 a month, maybe a little more now. But you don't have to do anything. Once you set it up on the servicer, that's per note.
Okay. You have 4 or 5 notes, you pay $50.
Uh-huh. And you can write it up that the borrower pays that. You don't have to pay that.
So you're telling me I need to sell all my rentals?
I do believe you should sell all your rentals. I don't know. I do. Because I think you should do whatever you want all day, every day.
Yes.
And why shouldn't you? Thank you. Thank you. You should enjoy that. You should go do whatever you want. You maybe wouldn't want to sell everything on a note. Because he can be hustling and grinding.
The problem is the long term. If you're doing giving a whole of rentals, you're getting a property value as it increases too. If you're not owner of the house, you don't get the increased value.
That's correct.
If it increases 15% over the next 5 years, I don't get that 15%.
That's correct. But you're not there yet. But you'll reach a point in life where you just don't care. Life is too short, and you just want to chill. And you've already done the hustle and the grind. So, yeah, you do you, he does him. You know, I don't want to get a family fight started. Okay, And I'm not making any suggestions. I'm just joking with y'all.
He actually told me to sell them.
I'm just providing education. You do what works for you. I'm not suggesting anything. But a lot of times people that are tired landlords, which is the title of that book there, they're really just sick of everything, and maybe everybody too. And so they owner finance so they can just enjoy that passive income stream so they can go do absolutely whatever they want to do.
Yeah, like yesterday when we had a leak in our brand new house that somebody just moved in, they plugged the washing machine in, went to drain, and it went down in the pantry.
I'm sorry.
I know.
I'm sorry.
We did stop it. It didn't do much damage, but still, I mean, we had to deal with that.
Yeah, but not if you have the note.
Yeah, the plumber didn't do his job.
Oh, no, you're kidding. That never happens. Okay, so let's talk about the math. So at the top, we have the buy the rental house, and at the bottom, we have buy a note, or you sell the note on the house. So on the top, there's a $1,000 rent payment. You're going to pay 10% to the management. Does that sound right, Denise? 10%? Is that still going rate on long-term rentals? 10% management fee?
Like the people, it depends on the class, because now we think we're gonna structure it depending on what
Class it is A, class B, C. C is more.
especially
D, you're not doing it? Gotcha. So, yeah. So let's just say on average it's 10%. You're not going to pay a servicer. You are going to have vacancy. I think that's a mistake that new investors make. They don't factor their vacancy, and that really does happen. Sorry. So
It comes up in the winter.
it happens.
And it's snowing, and
It happens. Yeah.
a couple months after all.
And that affects your numbers. Yes. Yes. We can hang out. And then you're going to pay property taxes and insurance. And guess what they're doing every year? Going up. They're going up. Have you noticed? And is that going to slow down the increase in the taxes and the insurance? I don't think it's going to slow down. I don't know what's going to happen there. And then you've got maintenance, which you'd be doing good if it's only $100. So then your total is $600 cash flow. And they don't have debt service on there. This is assuming it's free and clear. So if you had a note that was $1,000 principal and interest payment coming into your account, and let's say you were paying the servicer $50 a month, are you paying for vacancy?
Nope.
Property tax, insurance, maintenance? So how much goes into your account a month? $950. Do you have to put some of that aside for to replace the roof down the road? Or the HVAC? I'm stuck on those HVACs. John Goddard loves me. HVAC company, shout out Goddard Air. I buy so many HVAC units. I get they're so expensive. The last one I bought was $9,000. They're high. Anyway.
The payment's $1,000 principal and interest payment.
Right. Okay. And then $50 goes out for the servicer, but you get to keep $950.
But basically, how much money do you have invested for you? It just depends on.
Let's say it's equal in this case. Just to make a point, let's say it's an equal amount. Equal amount on the note, equal amount on the house. So we can compare apples and apples. So, and in this case, I value your time. I think your time is worth money. And if you are owning the rental, you're going to be spending your time on it. So don't forget to count in your time. That's the one thing you can't get more of. It's very valuable.
The other good thing is that you've owned your rental for over a year.
You only pay 50% capital gains.
Mm-hmm. So you could own it and rent it for a year and then sell it on a note.
Yeah, or if you got it like me and you want to get rid of the capital gain for or can you sell it because I don't pay capital.
That's right, and that's a good point. And we talked about that this morning about installment sales, and we were looking at the tax code on that because we're nerds like that. So you can sell it on a note and recapture the gain a little bit at a time. So it's
Keep the note on it.
if you don't pay as much taxes that way because you're spreading it out over time, especially if you have other things that you can, if you're a CPA and you talk and you develop other things that you can deduct on your taxes each year, you can maybe offset that. There's different strategies between you and your CPA, but you could sell it on a note and not have to take the hit of that gain if you just sell it outright. That's called an installment sale.
So you only sell it on you can that could be a requirement of the sale if you want me to. I'm going to carry the note.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So everybody's thinking this. What if they stop paying on their note? Right?
Then I haven't paid it, but now.
Well, if the home is valued at $67,500 and you invested, you bought a note for $36,144 and a first lien position on that property, and they quit paying, you could do a loan modification, which is exactly what it sounds like. You could talk to the borrower and say, what's going on here? And bad things happen to good people. Yes, amen. So you could sometimes have a conversation with people and say, what's going on? And it could be a very valid reason that they didn't pay. And you say, okay, then we'll just restructure this note for you and go again. And so we'll put the payments that you missed on the back of your note. And we'll just redo it. And you can just start fresh. So you can do a loan modification with your borrower if you decide to. It's your choice. It's your money. You decide. Or you could get a deed in lieu of foreclosure. And why would somebody do that instead of going through foreclosure? If they quit paying, what would be their motivation? What would be the borrower's motivation to do a deed in lieu of foreclosure?
They won't be on their credit.
They don't want to ruin their credit. And sometimes that's worth it just to sign it over. They just sign it right back over to you. And so you could offer them that and see if they will do that. And if they will not do that, then you're going to foreclose, and it's not the end of the world. It maybe seems like it, but it really isn't. You just call an attorney and let them handle it. The servicer can help. You foreclose on the house and you get the house back. It depends on the state. I'm not sure on Tennessee. It depends. Some states are quicker than others, as you would imagine. Yeah.
So is basically super easy.
They just sign it over to they say, you know what, something's happened in our lives here, and we're just going to sign this note and house back over to you. You get the deed back, and they just give you the house back and walk away. If they go through foreclosure, it's going to show up on their credit. If they come to me as a mortgage loan originator and try to buy a house, it's going to be like, no. You have you've got to wait so many years. You have foreclosure. So they don't want that a lot of times. So what type of note investor do you want to be? You can be active or you can be passive. If you're active, you can go out and source notes and find notes for mom and pops to buy, just like you would a house. Has anybody done an ad campaign or mailed yellow letters or cold call to buy houses? You can do that for notes. Same thing. Same process to buy the house. You're just sourcing the notes. You can put bandit signs for the notes. You just tell everybody whatever how you want to go about it. But you can find mom and pops. Remember that spreadsheet that had all the owner financing that was going on in this country? There are notes out there to buy. So you could go out and find them and buy them at a discount. If you do that, it's a whole lot of education, as Cindy alluded to earlier. I would go to note school. I would get educated and know what you're doing. And then go do that. But you're like a note professional at that point. You're going to have to pay for that education. And verify the value, do your due diligence, work with attorneys and code enforcement servicers, on and on and on. So that's active. To be passive, you could just buddy up with somebody that is an active note investor and invest passively with them. So if you know somebody that, like myself, that knows notes, you could invest with that person. And you're not going to get as big of a return as an active note person, but you're not doing the work either. So you can be more passive in your note investing, depending on how you want to go about it. This is maybe for the third class. We're not going to go over this today because it's all about due diligence and the deep dive into the education of being a note investor. So you have a note. Now what? You receive regular periodic income from a third-party servicer. You do pay taxes on the interest earned each year, unless you've done it in a what, Cindy? Or an HSA, which I don't think HSAs get the love and attention that they deserve. And you're going to pay taxes, earned income. So that's one thing to think about on the interest that you receive. You can sell the entire remaining note to an active investor to repurpose capital. If the note goes bad and quits paying, you can work with the servicer. The servicer can call the borrower, send letters, engage an attorney in a courthouse. Like, you can't go knock on their door. Like, you can't go to their house and threaten them or anything like that. There's a process of what you have to go through to foreclose. Or you can pledge, which the fancy word for pledge is hypothecate, the income stream to a passive investor. So that's back if you want to be a passive investor and I'm an active investor and I own a note, I can hypothecate that to you and you can get a payment and I still own the note. For example, if I own a note and Cindy still has money in her self-directed IRA to deploy, she can say, I would like to lend you my money, and the note is the collateral. So instead of a piece of property being a collateral in a private money lending scenario, the note is the collateral for Cindy. She loans me the money, and I pay her a payment to her self-directed IRA every month. And she's 100% passive in that instance. And I do that as well. So I have that going on with some passive investors that invest with me. The collateral is a note, and then I make payments to them. And they don't do anything except get the payment. Or you can sell a partial note to a passive investor. Like Charles and Cindy. Charles can sell the front end of his note to Cindy in her IRA or outside, inside or outside. Here's a case study, and then we're going to call it a night, okay? So, because this is going to be the last push through, because it's math, and I know math, it's math, it's late. Here we go. So here's a note example. So if you have a home valued at $200,000, okay, and you sell it on a note for $90,000. So let's suppose somebody makes a really large down payment in that case. What is the down payment on that? $110,000. That's a good down payment. So you are carrying $90,000 on a note, like a seller carryback. The interest rate is at 9%, which makes the monthly principal and interest $1,609.25. So your investment to value is 45%. Anybody have any idea what an investment to value is? Okay, the investment to value is the amount that you have invested compared to the value of the home. How much is invested? $90,000. What's the value of the home? $200,000. So you are 45% investment to value. So this is a good deal for you. Because if you have to take the house back, then you've got a really big spread. You almost hope you take the house back. You don't wish ill on anybody because that's not good for the borrower. But if it were to happen, you're not going to be too upset. And when Cindy bought that partial from Charles, she had a really nice investment to value like this, which was a good deal for her. So that's a good investment to value. The original note term was 360 months. 255 payments were made. 105 payments are left. The total amount in monthly payments received is $168,971.25. What's the ROI? Enough.
No.
It's enough. Okay. And I'm going to figure out if I can turn on this calculator. This is a 10BII, and I did a little recording today, and we'll see if this works. And I made a mistake here. Let's see if you can catch it. So there's a mistake. Well, that was the first mistake. So how do I go back? This is not my computer.
For $200,000. That's the phrase about it. It has an interest rate of 5%. 360 months. And that makes the payment $1,609.25. If we want to see the amortization schedule, it will show us the entire schedule. But we only want to see it for the remaining payments. Let's start with $256. So I'm going to change that to $256, and I'm going to update it. So we had total interest on our investment at $52,310.60. So you may want to know your yield, but what is your return on investment in this case? So go back to the calculator, and change it to your investment amount of 90,000 and change your present value. Then did your interest rate, and your return on investment is 21.42%.
Anybody see what I did wrong? I didn't change the number of payments. The N. My number of payments left would be 105. I should have changed that there. And in my defense, I did do it right after I did it wrong. But I gave my assistant the wrong video to put in there. So that's my fault. But it's a good case study of, this is a 10BII and how it works. And it is so different than a regular calculator. It took me a while to get the hang of this. That's why I wanted to talk to you about it. I'm so glad you asked. This is a 10BII calculator, and you can download it on your phone or computer at the App Store. There you go. Chrissy's got hers out. And if you're going to be a note investor, you want this. If you're going to be an investor that's borrowing private money, you want this. If you're going to be an investor at all, you really want to have this to figure out what you're doing when you're doing your financing. It's a financial calculator that you need, the 10BII. And it'll go through a lot. That we could have a whole class on that, but we're not going to nerd out on that tonight. So if you could make $136,800 for 10 years, would you rather do that, or would you rather wholesale a property and make $35,000 one time? You can only do one or the other with that property. You could wholesale one, owner finance another. Who would like to do the long term 10 years? Who would like to do the quick flip? Nobody? There's also something called the time value of money. What are you going to do with that $35,000? Does that $35,000 leap you into another deal that is even bigger than what this would have been? I don't know. What are you going to do with it? Yeah.
That's the conversation. Like you got to have the money alone, so you may have to do a couple of those 35 until you're able to get the 136.
Yeah. And if you're working out of your self-directed IRA, which is what we teach and encourage you to do, then it would be better to have it over time. Just to have it, because you're not going to be taking it out anytime soon anyway. So why not let it do that?
I have a couple questions on Lippy one at the end of the class.
No, go ahead. What time are we?
18.
Okay, go ahead.
If you've got a good borrower, why are they taking hard money? I don't know what you call hard money, as opposed to going to a bank and getting it.
There is a whole subset of people that we call penalty box buyers that really struggle to get loans from traditional financing. They're self-employed and they write everything off on their tax returns. I see this all the time. They don't show any income because they're definitely a good borrower. They've got good and healthy cash flow. They have they got good credit. They have a thriving business. They're good borrowers. They just aren't pretty to the bank. They're non-traditional. That's right. They're called penalty box buyers.
And then would you ever take money from your line of credit or a HELOC to do so?
What do you mean?
Well, if you don't have a self-directed IRA, would you use a I guess it depends on what interest you're paying on it.
Would you? Should you? I can't answer. Could you? Yes.
Probably so.
You could. You should call me later.
I will.
Okay. All right. So call to action. Ask everyone that you network with. Everybody. Hey, you got a note? You know somebody that has a note? Anybody, want to sell a note? And tell them to call me. Or you could buy it yourself. You can buy notes. Just ask people. Hey, you got a note? When you're a realtor, you could offer to buy that property on owner finance or large land. Or if you got burnout landlords that are ready to just get paid. And they're sick of it. They're sick of everything. They probably need to sell those on a note. It would be helpful to them. Tell them to call me.
What about burnout, not landlords, but landowners, like people that have tracts 100 acres?
You can owner finance those and create an income stream.
For that person, and then able to flip that into an investment for, like, if I had somebody looking for that property or flip it.
No. You could sell it on a note for sure. Large land tracts are sold on notes all the time. You sure can. Wholesalers, watch for those for sale by owners and ask them if they're owner finance. Talk to burnout landlords. Those deals you almost close, if you're a wholesaler or you know a wholesaler and they're throwing a deal in a trash can, tell them to call me. There may be a workaround. Those deals that, and wholesalers pay a lot of money for each lead. So sometimes they throw deals away just because they don't understand what could be done. So tell them to call me if it's a good close. If we close, I'll give them a fee for that lead. But I definitely want to talk to wholesalers that can't close a deal because they just don't understand maybe what could be done. And we could go on, but I think we're getting tired. So we'll talk about that coming soon. Get yourself a self-directed IRA. We always talk about that and push that. That's what we're all about, teaching you how to invest with your self-directed IRA. That's what this is for. We'll talk about the rest of this after you've processed for a while because I know this has been a lot. We'll be here same time, same place next month, Tuesday night. This is more education on note investing. If you want that QR code, that's my website. And you have the book. It's just more information if you're interested in learning more about note investing and digging in. There you go. So you got the videos, you got the book, you got this website, and that is the book. If you want it in a PDF, you can have that. So you don't have to have I don't know, Denise told me she didn't really like to have books, that she wanted everything on the computer. Cindy's like, I don't want everything on the computer. I want a book. So it might be a generational thing going on there. I'm not sure, but whatever works for you. And then follow us. I think this takes you to our Instagram that Denise has made look so lovely for us. If you need some help with your social media. I don't know if you're advertising that. Do you advertise how fabulous you are? No, they don't know? Okay. Okay, I won't tell them. Upcoming events next month. I'll be here, same place, talking again, yada, yada. And I don't remember what that QR code is for. Cindy, is that our Facebook page? I think that might be our we should label those. I think that's our Facebook page. We're open, and these open dates, if you know something you want to learn about with your self-directed IRA or investing, let us know. We're open to suggestions. It's open. Trying to decide what to do. Yep.
A couple of questions. One is, what if the person who has the deed decides they want to sell the house and they don't know that there's a note on it? Is there
Oh, they know because they're making that monthly payment.
Okay.
It's recorded. They're paying that payment.
Okay, so they can't sell the house. They can't put it up for sale without notifying.
Oh, no. It's title's going to catch that. You're going to get paid as the investor. There's a lien against the house.
And then would you put like a penalty for early payoff on that?
If it's an investor, you can put a prepayment penalty in. If it's a homestead, you cannot.
Okay. Well, you can?
No.
You just have no chance that you're going to get most of your interest.
They could refinance at any time. Or sell. And people do that. So that's something to consider. Not one that's primary residence, no. Yeah, you can on investment properties, though. These are some custodians that we tell people about if you want to start your self-directed IRA. Madison Trust.
Can you go back 2 slides, please?
Sure.
That one.
And if you're a 1099 worker and you are getting, like a realtor, and you're getting windfalls of money at erratic times, you should probably have one of these. And then when you get a windfall or a closing, fund it. You're not going to want to, but create your own retirement. And then when you have your money in your IRA, grow it. And Cindy and I can help you figure that out. Grow your money while it's in the IRA for your own retirement because you have decided to be your own boss. So you're not going to have a company retirement. And is that a thing anymore anyway? Do companies have retirement anymore? Oh. I'm currently unemployable, so I don't know. You might want to scan that if you want to be an active note investor. That's the Eddie Speed's class in Note School. So some of the Knoxville investors that I know have taken that. Have you taken that,
I have not
Christy?
yet.
Okay.
I wasn't able to do it last.
Okay. And that's my live link, so I get credit for that if you sign up on that link. This is coming soon. I will tell you about that. I'm not even going to talk about it today, but I'll tell you about it next week. Any questions? Yes.
So the way it's amortized on doesn't, maybe this is a misnomer, I just don't understand it. Don't you get, like, if you're the bank or you're you created the note, don't you get your interest first? And then they pay a small percentage of the principal?
You're going to get, in the first years, more interest than principal.
Right. So if you're selling your first part, you're kind of selling the most valuable part.
You're selling the interest, yes, and that works for her. She's
So
getting those.
I guess she just wants 15%. Why would she have leverage on that? It's more, I guess, the person selling it.
What do you mean she would have leverage on it?
I guess, why would she have leverage on that?
To ask for 14 or so.
Like, you're going to get, well,
Why would you sell it to her at that yield? Well, you don't have to. You can't sell her the back end because she's not going to wait 20 years to start getting payment. I mean, if you can talk her into that, good luck. Have you met Cindy?
you can do purse. That's what you mean by pie.
You sell that first piece of that pie. It's called selling the partial. Or maybe sell it in chunks, like the first part of it.
Or you could sell the whole note.
Or you could sell the whole note.
So that doesn't change position in the loan or the second piece of the pie.
It's still a first lien. It's not a first lien, second lien situation.
Okay.
No. It's the note, and you've given her the first portion, and when she gets done getting paid, then you get payments again. But you're both still in first lien position. It's still first lien investing.
I think it would be foreclosed. You both take.
Good question. So if he owns the back end of the note and there's a foreclosure or they quit paying, he's going to want to foreclose or deed in lieu or loan modification, or he's never going to get paid. So Cindy's sitting back thinking, I don't have to do anything. Charles is going to foreclose because he knows if he doesn't, he's never getting paid. So, but she probably would work with you.
Because
But
amortization never continues. It never forwards itself. You're stuck at 31 payments and you never go forward to the 105 where he starts getting his money back. Is that what you're saying?
Right. You don't move forward. He would never get a payback. So they're going to have to foreclose or do a deed in lieu. Good job remembering that. Or a loan modification. Yes.
How does that work if it's during her portion and then you get foreclosed?
They're going to foreclose together. They're like a team. They're going to foreclose. Probably Charles is going to head it up.
And how does the money?
And then when they foreclose and they get the house back, she gets paid first. He gets what's left. So who's in the catbird seat?
She is. But if they have equity, then she doesn't get paid until they sell it.
When you foreclose, then it goes to the courthouse steps to be sold. And you set that amount, and it can't be more than what you were owed plus the fees that have incurred during the process.
Oh, so you can't gain the interest back.
But you can buy the note.
You can't gain the equity on the foreclosure. That's a non-performing note class. We'll teach that another day. But there wouldn't be no reason for you to do that. You would just you would just set it at the maximum amount, and then if nobody bid at that price, you get it back. If you are thinking, I don't want the house back, you might reduce what the offer is, hoping to attract somebody like Josh to come in and make an offer on it, and then get it off your books. So that's up to you to say.
Lou, how does that work? Because she's got whatever she has $104,000 invested in it. It deeds back to me. I get the deed back because I'm the primary lender on it. Mm-hmm. She doesn't. Where does that do it with Larry? He would get the deed back.
Yeah. Then I don't know. That's a good question.
You would have the equity would be in play.
Yeah, you get the house plus the equity in that case.
Yeah.
So you have to sell the house.
Maybe sell it to another buyer. I don't know.
Sell it and pay her off.
Mm-hmm. Sell it and pay her off.
Yeah. Okay.
But you could do it, just keep that.
You could just keep the house.
Yeah.
No, you'd have to pay her. You'd have to pay her and keep the house, and then sell it again to another on a penalty box buyer. So, any more questions? Thank y'all for coming. You've been the best. I hope you learned something. I hope you're not too tired.